Kai Jones, 10-day contract. Again, a first-round pick for the Charlotte Hornets, and he played a few seasons there with the basketball team. Bad basketball team, talented player where they take him in the first round as they try to look at some young players, develop them, and with his athletic ability, pretty raw as a player where they felt like maybe, again, with the coaching staff, they could develop him into a nice role player. Who knows, maybe even more. They've drafted a lot of bigs there, from Nick Richards to Mark Williams from Duke as well. And Kai Jones was another piece. But then things just kind of went the other way. And at the end of the season and into the offseason.
That's one way of putting it.
They went the other way, where they had to make a decision where the guy was on videos dancing on, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram, wherever was social media.
Those
he was
damn
dancing.
kids in their TikTok.
Exactly. Well, that's a whole nother story. But he got cut. He got waived. And like, wow, this talented young player playing with a bad team where you get minutes to see if you can play in this league and do some things. Well, it wasn't enough to keep him on the roster. Since then, he has not been picked up by a professional team. He did play a couple of games with his Bohemian national team as they try to figure out some FIBA things there for qualifying for them. But other than that, he has not played a lick of professional basketball for the NBA, for another team overseas, for the G League, any of that. And here we are right now, Derek, where we have the 76ers picking him up on a 10-day contract. How much can he actually help this basketball team over the span of 10 days? What does this mean?
Yeah, so Kai Jones is a 23-year-old, just turned 23, has played not a whole lot of basketball. 2 years with Charlotte, not big minutes in either ones. Obviously played more in the second season than the first, but was not a fixture of the rotation. It is a bit of a weird signing because on the one hand, you look at a 10-day contract and say, all right, they're signing him to help now, right? They think they can get some minutes out of him. Maybe he's no Bamba. He's not Mo Bamba. So you'll have less Bamba.
Maybe no Bamba should have been our thumbnail text.
That would be the theory behind it. But when I look at him as a player, forget all of the off-court stuff, forget all the maturity, all that stuff. When I just look at him as a player, I'm not sure he's ready to help out on the floor anyway. But I also don't think Daryl Morey is in a spot where he is looking for a long-term project on this roster either, nor would you think so, given the fact that he is signing a 10-day contract. So it makes sense in the fact that they really could use another center option because Mo Bamba has not been good for most of the season. But on the other hand, he doesn't fit either a help now player or a long-term project player. There's part of me that wonders, all right, maybe they just gave him a 10-day contract because that's 10 days where you get a chance to be up close, evaluate him, see whether or not he's a chance to, because there's a lot of talk out there of his maturity, of other stuff. You get a chance to talk to him, see him up front, see if maybe there is a chance he could fill a role now, or see if maybe he is somebody who you're interested in long term. It's just like an extended interview process. Maybe that's what this is about. I'm real interested to see whether or not he sees a floor for any meaningful minutes here. I think what I said before the show, over under of 20 minutes during his 10-day contract, I'm not sure I'd take the over, and maybe part of this is there's roster limits where you can only go 2 weeks without having 14 players on the roster. Maybe they just needed to fill a roster spot and occupy a roster spot by league rules, so why not grab an athletic big man? Maybe it's just as simple as that, but I guess it's a very long-winded way of me saying my expectations are pretty low.
Yeah, and I would say this. We can get into the actual basketball tools and talent. It's all about, as Derek said, getting to know this guy and being up close and personal with this guy. Derek actually pointed me to an interview, pointed us, I should say, an interview he did after being waived in Charlotte. It was with a high school teammate of his. And look, some time has passed since then. That was months ago. I'm sure he's gotten talkings to by representation, family, friends, whatever, trying to get his head on straight after how he left Charlotte. But we're talking about a guy who sat in this interview and said he wants to be a combination of Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman. He also thinks that he can be Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson in one person.
Well, and then he thinks he can be a billionaire and build rocket ships. So he wants to be Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Elon Musk, which all
he thinks he can be
degrees,
a great rapper, a great singer. And it's like, look, I'm never going to hold someone down from, you have many interests, you want to do a lot of things. That's great. Athletes have a lot of free time on their hands. So I'm not trying to stifle him and his creativity and who he wants to be. But when you're a guy who has scored 179 total career points and has generally shown to be, let's be charitable, we'll say erratic when you're on the floor, let alone off of it. The mental side of the game has been a struggle for him at times, just staying dialed in and engaged and not taking stupid fouls and so on and so forth. And so I don't see anything that suggests that he has learned what he needed to learn from being cut. He also said as part of that interview that he was asked to go to therapy by the Hornets and initially rejected it, started going, and then told the Hornets essentially, this isn't working for me. And the Hornets said, okay, well, this is according to Kai Jones anyway. The Hornets then said, well, then you're not welcome at training camp because they believed it was important for him to go and try to better himself and recenter himself after an erratic offseason. And so I hope that he has used this time to recalibrate and look within himself and see, here's the thing where I'm coming from. If you can't be good at and focus on your actual job, the thing that we know, maybe he's not good in terms of the NBA scale, but he's good on a worldwide scale, right? He's been one of the 450. He was a first-round pick, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got the talent to be there. Focus on that, and then the rest of the stuff maybe will come at some point. Maybe you'll be able to drop a shitty mixtape down the road or, get a picture with Elon Musk. But, to sit here when you are out of the league entirely and being I'm going to be a multi-billionaire building spaceships and a combination of Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. Needless to say, I'm a little bit dubious of all that.
Yeah, and look, to your point, you don't want to begrudge a guy for having big dreams, but it's
Correct.
One thing to have goals and to work towards those goals. It's another thing to truthfully believe that you currently are, and I'm not sure I'm confident he is on the right side of that spectrum there.
He has a really good opportunity here with this basketball team because of the no Bamba things that you guys talk about where they badly need front court help. They had a player in Kenny Lofton Jr. who was here for a while, could never get a sniff on the Sixers roster after destroying the G League for the Delaware Bluecoats. Then you get the 10-day contract from Darius Baisley. Never sniffed the floor either, as well as he was playing with the Delaware Bluecoats. Both have since signed some non-guaranteed deals with the Utah Jazz so they can get a peek because they are in a different situation than the 76ers are. And that's where I kind of look at this one with Kai Jones, the talented first-round player that he was coming out of school, taken by Charlotte. But again, just going back to all of the things that both Kyle and Derek have talked about, you can't ignore the off-the-court things, but when it comes to the on-the-floor stuff, he had a golden opportunity with a bad basketball team to really establish himself as an NBA player in this league. So where is his focus? Where is his mindset of how, if he wants to be that good? He showed us a little bit already there in Charlotte. Now, maybe this demotion of not being an NBA player, being out the entire season, and not linking up with an NBA team until March, maybe that has done something for him, because in that interview that Kyle is talking about, he mentioned while speaking to the interviewer that he was in conversation with a lot of teams. They were trying to do some feedback on him. But guess what? That was a long time ago in NBA year, in an NBA season. And we're again in March, where there are under 20 games for every NBA team, and they are trying to focus on the playoffs and the seeding and all those things, and no one has signed him. So if he is serious, which is why he signed this contract, then he, again, is in a good opportunity, a good situation, because they badly need front court help. They're playing KJ Martin center minutes when Mo Bamba and Paul Reed are not getting anything done. Mo Bamba is playing terrible basketball right now. He has his moments, but he's playing terrible basketball. Nick Batum is your center. They need front court help, and that's why it was sad to say it at that time, where we at least wanted to see what Darius Baisley could help just during that 10-day stretch a little bit. We didn't see much from him either. So I'm very curious, just like these guys are curious, into seeing what he actually has. How much has he worked out during the time off? How sharp is he? He had to go through a workout for the Sixers to sign him to this 10-day. Mm-hmm. What did they see, and will we get a chance to see it? So, again, he has a pretty good opportunity here just to be a guy, to be athletic, to run the floor, to use his smarts out there on the floor and not be in space. As Gene said, he's probably already in the spaceship right now. Well, we're going to find out. Maybe
He's on the spaceship.
We're going to find out whether he is on the floor or not. We're going to find out how good he is if he plays any minutes and how meaningful will they be. And then again, we're going to find out if he doesn't get minutes, because that will tell the story also.
If you can somehow harness him. Very good athlete, right? And I think potentially, keyword potentially, which that's like the operative word with Kai Jones, I think he could be a lob threat in a way that neither of their two current bigs are. Like, that's not Paul Reed's game. It is certainly not Mo Bamba. And so if you put him in pick and rolls and throw it up there, he can go get it. That is helpful, because downhill gravity like that, whether it's for Tyrese Maxey, Buddy Hield, who we've seen run a decent amount of pick and rolls with Paul Reed, or even, God forbid they run offense through him, maybe Tobias Harris, try to run him in some actions with just simplify it. It's like, hey, that guy is big and athletic. You just have to throw it in a decent radius. He can go up and get it and maybe finish.
5 years
Derek,
watching.
Listen, I'm grasping at straws
He can't get an entry pass here. You
I'm
want him to throw a
grasping at
lob?
straws. What do you want from me?
You just go to campaign, man.
What do you want from me?
Let him throw that lob. Him or Kyle Lowry. Let them throw the lobs.
So I'm just trying to look at that. That would be the hope. To your initial point you made, Derek, I'm not sure he even gets on the floor. Mm-hmm. I do think Nurse, for all our complaints about Mo Bamba, has shown at least a decent amount of trust in him. Like, he's started quite a bit, and some of that is because it seems that Paul is better in that bench activity energy role. How Kai factors into the picture, I'm not exactly sure yet, but look, got to give him his opportunity. We've seen guys come in here that one or all of us did not love coming in, that have had moments in the sun while they're here. So maybe Kai comes in, has one or two good performances, gets another 10-day. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, I mean, if there was a lot of belief in him around the league, he wouldn't have survived on the open market this long. A rebuilding team would have said, yeah, let's bring him in and see if GOAT life is what he believes it is.
No, look, he has enough athletic talent and enough, he gives good enough effort that I am intrigued by what he might become in 4 years. If he matures enough and, gets his, he talked in that interview that we mentioned about being a 1 through 5, and he didn't talk about defending 1 through 5. Like, no, he thinks he can play 1 through 5 on both sides of the floor. If he gets a firmer grasp on reality, I'm interested to see what he can become, because he has a lot of physical tools and he does play hard. And the Sixers, I'm desperate to watch any tall human being that's not Mo Bamba. So, I get it from that perspective. But my expectations are sort of low on a 10-day.
We all silly like the mayor.